this week, I don't know if you heard, but they've been trying to ban or put a ban on assault rifles, right? This gentleman comes out from California and tries to reverse how California has been handling the assault rifle ban. What do you think? Do you think we should be banning assault rifles? What should we? How should we be thinking about this? Because I feel like this is another heavy topic that has many layers. But this guy coming out and actually backing up. I don't know if you read the article, but he backs up saying that an AR-15 is just as good for the field as it is for home defense.
Yeah, because it's for right now. Assault rifles are banned. Fully automatic guns are already banned in the United States. An AR-15 doesn't stand for assault rifle.
Right, it's the name of the company, right?
It's the name of the company. So most mass shootings are done by handguns anyway. They're not done by assault rifles.
Correct.
Or shotguns or rifles. This is just another thing that people like. It has to be broken down eloquently, and then broken down in a sense of just with numbers, and both sides have to look at it for what the numbers are, and take it with a grain of salt. So like the people who want to ban assault rifles just want to ban them because they have a fear of guns, as opposed to not having the data to support your fear of a shooting happening. So like we've said many times, majority of a lot of shootings period happen in democratic cities with the strictest gun laws. So clearly strict gun laws aren't working. The reverse is happening because people are still getting their hands on these weapons. What I always thought what needs to happen is just more education on, behind guns. Because then the thing that sucks too is that people who are against guns, they do sneaky shit to make guns seem bad. So they'll do things like majority of gun deaths are suicides. It's not its own category. And
they lump it all together.
Exactly. And over 60% of gun deaths are suicide. So you talk about 40% are whatever, an armed robbery or somebody defending themselves or whatever. That's also clumped into its own thing. And then when you look deeper into the numbers, knives kill people more than guns do. Bats kill more people than thing. Hands and feet kill more people than guns do. So when you bring all these things to people who are against guns, they don't want to hear the other things. So my thing is like, all right, so if hands and feet kill more people than guns, do we just put boxing gloves on wherever we go? Or, do we put bubble wrap on our feet? Or are people not plastic knives? That's it. That's only what people could use, are only plastic knives. I think it's always one-sided. The Second Amendment, I get it. People try to say, oh, it was for when it was, guns were muskets and revolvers and 6-shooters or whatever, stuff like that. But like us having guns is just to make sure like the capital shit doesn't really happen everywhere, kind of thing. We have militias in the United States just in case the government tries to do some shit. Like Texas has a big veteran community. Like imagine telling veterans you can't have your guns, even if they served. Like it's to protect us from tyranny. And these guys who made the Constitution, the fact that they thought this far in advance, and the fact that this 200-year-old piece of paper has kind of withstood the test of time, and it's like the best kind of government we've almost in the world, and these people just find ways to fucking complain about it. So this government, trying to ban assault rifles is just a word that people to make people feel safe. It's like just wearing a mask, even if you're vaccinated, to make somebody feel safe. It's kind of lunacy to me.
Well, I find it strange because I just don't understand this whole situation, right? Because first of all the guns are bought legally, especially some of the ones that happen in these mass shootings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guy buys it over the counter. There's also a lot of guns that are on the black market. So I feel like if you wanted to get something, you could get it regardless, right? And I don't even know I know that they've tried. I know under Obama they tried a lot. There was a lot of gun violence under Obama. There has been gun violence up until the point till we had to deal with COVID. Everybody kind of took a breather. But I just feel like this is something that, again, I'll agree with you on this. We need more education. I think that now with a gun, I've said this before, a gun should be looked at as like a fire extinguisher. You should know how to use a gun. You should know how to use a fire extinguisher. You should know how to pull out a pin, press the button, it puts out the fire. You should know how to unload a magazine, load a magazine, all these kind of things. I don't know why we have such a big fear. Obviously, we have the NRA, and they push their agenda. And I heard an alarming statistic. There's like, in the world, or it might be just in the United States, but there's like 10 guns per person. Like, there's so many guns out there that, it just doesn't even make sense. Like, obviously, like you said, the shootings that happen are happening in democratically ran cities with strong gun laws. The strong gun laws are not working. People are still getting guns. And again, it's a lot of handgun movement, right? Like, there's been shootings that guys have assault rifles in the car, but that's not what they start the shooting with, right? Like, they get all the assault rifles and shit.
Yep.
And then they end up doing shit with just a handgun. I mean, I put this in our notes. I thought that the thing that really started getting everything going was that shooting. I believe that it was in 2016 in Florida, where that guy almost shot and killed like 100 people. Now, do you think this, instead of us looking at stricter gun laws, adding or spending more tax dollars, money on having, legislation put into position, or having more, events in the jury, or should we start to look at more at mental health in this country? Is that something that we should be putting our time into, and not so much into the guns? Because I think I forgot what movie I was just watching with Chris Rock, but it was like, or Chris Tucker, he was like, guns don't kill people. Stupid motherfuckers with guns kill people.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I agree to that. I think what we need to do is definitely look into mental health. Mental health is a big thing. I also think an underlying thing is mostly white men, and mostly white men who can't get pussy. So we need to legalize prostitution.
I've been said that shit.
Like, it's legal.
It doesn't even make any sense, because porn is legal, and it's the same thing.
Exactly, and I think it's legal in Nevada. If I'm not mistaken.
And it's not even legal. It's not legal in the city limits of Vegas. It's just legal in the state of Nevada.
Yeah.
So when you go into Vegas, you can't solicit, because if you do, you're in trouble. Which doesn't make any sense either, that it's legal in the state and not legal in the city of Vegas.
It's a weird thing. But that's another underlying issue. Like, you got a lot of these men, who can't have no game, and just are frustrated with life, or they have some type of message. They just want to be seen and heard. I think for the most part, like, we're kind of like under control, in a sense of most people have a community to go to. Like, if you are anything, if you are like you have a Batman shirt on, there's a Batman community on Reddit, YouTube, forum, stuff like that. So, like, most people kind of dive into the only reason why mass shootings get so crazy is because they really happen. And when it really happens, it's like, oh shit, a big thing happened, like, and then if it happens like within a month of each other, it seems like crazy. What the fuck? This shit keeps falling. My fault, bro.
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
It's similar it's similar to how it's like if a plane crash. Plane crashes don't happen. Like, I think 150 people.
Not as many. Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think 150 people, almost 200 people die a year from plane crashes.
It's
but
like
when it's the safest way to travel is by airplane. But like, and then you got those people who are afraid of flying.
Right.
But it's the safest way to travel.
Right.
So it's just a weird space we're in. And I hope
it doesn't help. I think it doesn't help that the media comes in here and fucking like blasts everything every day, right? Then also I think another thing that has a little bit of a gray matter is the word mass shooting. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to, me, I'm always on the favor of the side of the little guy, but mass shooting could be 3 people. Yeah, I think they do that around the world. Yeah. I think it's 3 to 4 that qualifies it as a mass shooting. But if there's 4 or 5 people shot in every little place, and here comes, I would say the left media trying to push the agenda of saying, hey, we need stronger gun laws. Hey, we need to get guns out of people's hands. Hey, this or that. And no one's really talking about, hey, we just supposedly just spent $1 trillion, $2 trillion on infrastructure. But what if that infrastructure was for medical? What if that infrastructure was for, looking at homeless, looking at drug abuse, looking at all of these things that could potentially, lend itself for reasons why you want to go ballistic, right?
And legalize drug use.
Bro, listen, I said it'd be the 3 things I would do automatically if I was the president: legalize prostitution, legalize all drugs, and legalize sports gambling, because they're all ways of making money. And the country right now, I mean, this is another thing, and we're going to switch gears here in a second. I don't know what you guys have heard, but every state that I talk to now all of a sudden has a surplus of money. I don't know if you've noticed that. California is like at 30 million or something ridiculous. A couple of other states. So it's like, what are you guys going to go do with that money? Right? You guys are all banging on your chest talking about, let's do this, let's do that. To be honest with you, I think we shouldn't ban assault rifles. I think we should take the ban completely off. If I need an assault, first of all, this is the thing. Forget about the freedom and all this other bullshit, right? Because everybody gets all fucking clouded with this. But if it says you have the right to bear arms, then reading it with tea leaves or reading into it back 100 years ago doesn't make any fucking sense. It's still legal. It's still a law. It doesn't say nowhere in there that you can't have, and I get it. They didn't have those weapons available at that time. But there's no restriction on that. And there's crazy stories. I just seen a story about, a family that was trying to, hold back home invaders with an AR-15. Yep. So it's like, I don't know.
I have a lot of those stories that they say it's anywhere between 600,000 to 3 million lives are saved a year with somebody who has a gun. Because then you have a lot of those guys who it goes unreported, where let's say if you were in a parking lot and you pulled your gun out to stop them from robbing you or trying to kidnap you. I've seen a couple of videos of women who were about to get kidnapped and they pulled up their gun so they didn't get kidnapped. So like, also I always think of it as, if people are complaining about guns, right? All the states that it's legal in, why aren't there the numbers of shootings way up? Why isn't it like drastically? Why isn't it not fucking Armageddon, Mad Max style?
Because they know.
Exactly. Because if I have a gun, because if I have a gun and 25 people in the same area have a gun, I'm going down in an instant.
Bro, that was one of the things, and I don't know if you felt it when you were there in Texas. They post that shit everywhere, like, motherfuckers, I'm carrying.
Yep.
And crime is low. Shit don't pop off like that. I mean, I'm sure that, we got to look at this more from area to area, but overall, a motherfucker knows that if he acts up, there's a chance of some other guy acting up too, to protect the community or the people that are around him or whatever the case might be.
That's what happened with the shooting in the church, and I think it was South Carolina, North Carolina, somewhere, where the guy shot one person and the whole church had a gun and they took him down within minutes, within seconds. They took out the gun. So more people didn't die. I think one person got shot, but they killed the guy who was trying to do the mass shooting because everybody was holding. But that's why people don't test you in these places. Because, like, if I try to get into some altercation, this guy has a gun. No matter what size you are, what kind of person you are, a gun makes everything on an equal playing field. So if you have a woman who's 110 pounds and a guy who's 280, it's the same playing field if you have a gun. And
she might even have an advantage if you don't have a gun.
Exactly. And but the people just wanted to ban things just because, and that can't be that. Like, I was watching somebody who was saying something. It was like, people in America don't really understand how free they are, that they're so free that they're bored, that they're looking for things to be oppressed by.
I agree. I say it all the time. This COVID shit was the first time Americans got a true understanding of what it was like to live in a third world country. Right?
Exactly. And not even
to have money. Right, we weren't even there yet. That was the closest. And we still were good because we still had hot water. We still had running light. Right, like shit that's not even in fucking like in DR where the lights go out.
Exactly. You know what I mean? The lights go out once a week in DR. Like people don't get that. People don't understand that some people in third world countries that they turn their faucet on and there's no water. Fuck
yeah, there's nothing coming out there. Don't worry about it. We like it. It's like we're in the club. We're at We're
That's
at
what
the club.
that's what
That's
it
what happens
feels
when you keep moving it. You're so sexy on your streaming from the side view. I know you like that side profile. We
that's the
need that
problem.
front profile, Daddy.
There you go.
Full
Okay,
frontal
got it.
profile.
But yeah, like like it just showed how when the pandemic hit, what was a shortage? Toilet paper. Like people weren't even worried about food. People were worried about wiping their ass. Like that's like the least thing to worry about when
Yeah, for sure.
it's about to be a supposedly a virus at the time. What the way the media was making it seem, the way the world was reacting to it, you would have thought it was Armageddon.
That's what they sold it as.
Exactly. And people ran to the supermarkets to buy toilet paper. And that was like the weirdest thing to me. And nobody
Well, that's because this is the thing too, and I was going to mention this with the gun thing. A lot of the stuff that we have in place now has come out from the 90s, right? We're a different culture. The same way you could say that when, the Constitution was written, in 1776, I believe. That might have been the Declaration of Independence. I'm not 100% sure on these numbers. I mean, now these years and dates, but a long fucking time ago, we got to take things in that are relevant.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of kids got killed in the 90s because their parents didn't lock up guns. I think that was like a narrative that got pushed heavy.
And that helps.
then,
that helps. Fuck you. And that that fucking thing is pissing me off. All right, hold on.
Yeah, do your thing. I'll fill up the time. So, in the 90s, there was a lot of shootings, and I think like they tried stuff, but now we got it to a place where I just don't think banning assault rifles, banning semi-automatic weapons, that's not really gonna, I don't think, do much sense of trying to manage stuff. What do you got? You okay there now? You like that?
I just put it on the screen.
There you go. Okay, boom.
Keep rolling. Everybody know one.
Oh, that was the yeah. Thank you, Amazon, made in China. For $5.99. It only works.
And talking about that real quick, I want to touch on that real quick. You bringing up Amazon, right? So people were complaining how like Bezos is a piece of shit, and how like
I got a new story for that too, by the way.
You got all these companies making billions and billions of dollars, and people aren't upset that we let him, in a sense, quadruple whatever the money he made, because people were like, all right, this is convenient. I could press a button on my phone and I'm good. Like I could keep my day going. I could order groceries right to my door. I could order whatever essentials straight to my door. I don't have to go outside. So like you can't kill the guy and the company, but then you were massively benefiting from it. A lot of people were massively benefiting from Amazon and the 2-day delivery, or even if it's like 5 days during the height of the pandemic, which was still faster than anybody else or any other company. So it was an interesting thing that I was thinking about, how we complain about these guys not paying taxes, but we're giving them the outs to not pay these taxes because they're playing the game.
I agree. I've said this a lot. I mean, it's going to happen again. Juneteenth is coming up. I believe that is the
Prime Day.
No,
right?
Fuck that Juneteenth. Yeah, no, that's the same one. But I'm saying Juneteenth, meaning, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the day that happened, that Black Wall Street occurred, and we don't realize that we have a lot of buying power, and that was one of the things on Juneteenth that they were trying to push, and I think we should push that agenda more. The best way to strike is not to buy, right? Fucking don't buy shit. Don't buy nobody's shit, right? Sit on all the bread. I mean, if you think about it, if we just paid our bills and didn't get crazy, people would be sitting on massive stacks right now.
Of course.
But they weren't, and obviously some people could and some people couldn't. But, I never get mad at the players. I get mad at the game. It's not his fault that the whole entire institution is built for you to have an LLC and write off losses, pretty much. You know what I mean? And, lucky for him that he was in the, timing is a huge thing when it comes to success. And he was at the right place at the right time. In the beginning when that thing happened, no one gave a flying fuck that he was reselling books. But when one of the best things that he did was basically steal eBay's, kind of thing, because Amazon doesn't sell you anything. I don't know if anybody knows that. It's other people that sell through
Amazon, yeah.
Right?
And some Amazon, they take some, like Amazon Basics, the company,
Right. That's their shit.
Yeah.
But pretty much it's fulfilled by people.
Yep.
You know, and everybody's, you know, it's an involved community. So I mean, listen, it's a great platform. I'm not trying to knock on them. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know. I'm more alarmed. You know, these guys are just doing all types of crazy stuff. We'll get back to this Bezos thing because I got something that I wanted to add on to that. But overall, for me, you know, there's a lot of data out there that basically goes against why massive shootings really don't have anything to do with assault rifles. We need to start really like hammering this thing. It really seems like a Democratic and a Republican issue because the Republicans want everybody to have guns and the Democrats don't want anybody to have guns. I think to me, when it comes to, you know, home security, a handgun ain't gonna do jack shit for me, right?
True.
And a shotgun, maybe. Everybody's like, yeah, you just get a shotgun. I'm like, motherfucker, that shit don't work like that. Once you slide that thing back or you pump that shit again, that's another opportunity for them to go. I want to treat that shit like Call of Duty, bro. Banana magazines and just fucking hit one off and until the police come or something. You know what I mean? Like 4 or 5 guys come in your crib, you got to cock one thing back. That might be it. That might be the one that takes you down. So out of all of the, you know, huge news stories, this one seems like the simplest. Right?
Yeah, to figure out, yeah. I agree,
bro.
And
people, if you haven't committed a crime, you should be able to get a gun. But if you are buying guns at an alarming rate, there should be some kind of better version of, you know, whether it's an infrastructure or something tied into medical, where it's like, hey, this guy was, you know, we got to figure out a way to mark people, saying like, okay, this guy was not mentally stable. You know, we'll check back with him in 3 or 5 years. If you want to get a gun and you're not mentally stable, you got to get it like, you know, a written letter, let's say from your physician or something, saying that you come along or whatever the case might be. Because I think that, you know, and the thing is too, it's hard in the major cities. It's easy. I feel like in Kansas or in Denver, it's got to be easier to get a gun than it is in New York City or get a gun in California, right?
In some places, like Walmart, you can walk in and buy a shotgun.
Yes.
And leave.
All you got to do is show that
or
the state
or a rifle or whatever.
Yes.
Like a hunting rifle. So